let's go over to one of their division rivals that gave them a run for their money last year, and that is the Miami Dolphins. They made the playoffs. Fortunately, had some injuries going into the playoffs, and they lost to the Bills in that wild card game. They lost a couple of players, starting with quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Lost a couple of tackles in Brandon Shell, Greg Little, and Eric Fisher. Also lost tight end Mike Gesicki. And then on defense, lost edge rushers Melvin Ingram and Trey Flowers, as well as linebacker Landon Roberts. And then also lost cornerback Byron Jones and safety Eric Rowe. In terms of additions, they did add defensive coordinator Vic Fangio to that staff. Many feel he can do a good job there and improve on the defense. And then also brought in quarterback Mike White, wide receiver Robbie Anderson, tackles Isaiah Wynn and Cedric Ogbuehi, and linebacker David Long. Then also obviously trade for Jalen Ramsey, but unfortunately Ramsey's hurt, so we'll see if he comes back this year. And then also grab safety Deshaun Elliott from free agency as well. And then in the draft, because of the Tyreek, or was it because? Oh no, they lost their draft pick. Excuse me, they lost it because they were tampering. So they lost their first round pick, and the second round they grabbed cornerback Cam Smith out of South Carolina at round 2, pick 51, and then also got running back Devin Akane out of Texas A&M at round 3, pick 84. So basically, John, Miami seems to have improved. Obviously, the big question this year is if Tua can stay healthy, and can this offense continue to do what they did last year now that they have a year full of tape out for the rest of the NFL. So anyways, your thoughts on the Dolphins and if they can improve.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins, they're just in such an interesting spot where they have a really good team, but the biggest question mark about this team is always going to be Tua. And I don't even necessarily mean about the quality of play or anything like that, but 3 concussions last year is not good. And I still have a lot of questions about the quality of the staff over there. The fact that he was able to get 3 concussions and apparently multiple times play through games is kind of absurd to me. I don't know who to blame for that, but that's kind of crazy that was even a thing. Apparently him reportedly having one in the Packers game like late in the year after he already went through all the crazy concussion stuff that happened earlier in the season and he played through it is baffling to me. So I don't know. I like the offseason that they had in general when it comes to, some of the names they added like Isaiah Wynn, Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Ramsey. I think that Mike White is a good backup quarterback. So I like some of the moves they made. And I think that this being McDaniel's second year as the head coach, he's now getting guys that he knows kind of fit his scheme and what he wants. And so I like that from the Dolphins' perspective. And similar to the Bills, I'm excited to see how certain guys fit in for another year, whether that's Javon Holland or Jalen Phillips or even Bradley Chubb, who they just recently added. Like, don't get me wrong, this team is incredibly talented. No one, I think, is questioning that. It's just, can they actually put it all together? Can Tua stay healthy? If he does stay healthy, is he good enough to go toe-to-toe against Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, like all the AFC guys that are out there? It's going to be tough, but I don't know. This team's very talented, and it'll certainly be interesting to see how they try to overcome things. I also wanted to add in that I really like the hiring of Vic Fangio. I still think that he's an incredible defensive mind. The Broncos, when he was there, were still elite defensively. It was just unfortunately he didn't get the results for the whole team. And so with McDaniels being a younger coach who is, like I said, offensive minded, I think that adding Fangio is, I don't know. I really liked that hire personally. So yeah, I don't really know how to feel about the Dolphins in terms of will they improve? Will they get worse? I think they should improve over 9-8. It just depends on health, because unfortunately last year there was literally points that they're playing Skylar Thompson, their third string quarterback, who was he a rookie last year? I'm pretty sure too.
I think he was a rookie too.
Seventh round pick out of Kansas State. Like, it's not even about Skylar Thompson. That's just not a great situation for any team to be in, where you got to have your 7th-round rookie pick quarterback coming in. It's just not going to work. You're not going to be Tom Brady. So, yeah, if as long as they can stay healthy with the quarterbacks, I think they should improve. But once again, like I said, the question mark for this team is, can they beat the incumbents?
Yeah, and I'm not going to comment on the rest of that because I do agree with you on that. I do want to comment on Fangio. I agree with you. Love the hire. I feel like last year the defense was a bit too aggressive. Leaving a lot of their corners. For example, Xavier Howard in trouble. So that's bad situations where it's just him one-on-one, and it's a lot of that. Just going for the jugular too much. A lot of just aggressive blitzes and concepts. And then, they get beat. Like, for example, the Baltimore game, they were down big. But there is, and I understood like the gamble of that. Okay, if anything, you force a turnover, get the defense off the field quickly and get the ball back in your offense's hands. But nonetheless, it is a shame that Ramsey got injured, because before that I was saying, man, like this roster as a whole, top 5 roster in the NFL from top to bottom. And then Ramsey obviously would be the second corner that they've been wanting, because obviously Byron Jones unfortunately dealt with injuries all of last year. So their ideology would have been easier on Xavier Howard if he had a running mate to maybe switch off of, or take some of the pressure, or handle their end on that side of the field. But hey, maybe Cam Smith can fill in. I'm assuming that's why they got him in the second round, is for depth regardless. But and then other little concern was that late in the year we saw last year, some teams kind of figured out how to slow down the McDaniels offense and Tua, bump and run, disrupt their timings for the short intermediate passes, and the RPOs do all that. So be very interesting, because the offensive line was okay for them last year, and I just worry, I don't see how it can improve much. So if either kind of stays the same or gets worse, but I will say, and this may help the offensive line, is that later in the year the Dolphins did have more success and were more patient with the run game. So especially with the addition of Akane, maybe they use him as more the third down back or such. But another year, maybe he can start incorporating McDaniels can start incorporating more run concepts, and maybe take some of the pressure off of the offensive line in terms of pass protection, and put defenses more in a bind and keep them guessing. But yeah, poor question about me, because the AFC is really tough to kind of rank, and then that's not going to be the fun part in terms of our season predictions, because there will be good teams left out of the playoff race. And yeah, I could definitely see Miami either being one of those teams in, like they were last year, or potentially missing out if things go awry or things digress. So we'll see what happens with the Dolphins, and if they can build upon last year's success.